Why are men suffering in silence?
Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women.
That's a very toxic masculinity trait that men have.
That is a really, really large number.
Have you actually asked if he's happy?
Men are checking their car engines more than they are checking in on their health and their mental health. And that is the first problem.
Absolutely. Because these women dominate.
Yes, women do dominate, which is very
questionable.
Hi guys, I'm Heidi.
And I'm Biba.
And we are Aesthetically Sisters.
Welcome back, everyone. We are so excited for another week.
I'm just always excited to be here.
It's always exciting. How's your week been?
My week's been good. So if you're...
I feel like we haven't had a catch up on here for so long.
Actually...
We're always so eager to jump in and start
talking. My week's been good. This week in Sydney or New South Wales, we had like a cyclone bomb. And let me tell you, I'm so underwhelmed with this cyclone.
I was so prepped for
Bibba got
madness.
the news of the cyclone on Instagram. So I actually went on a social media detox.
She did. Guys, she did not. I'm going to post the video of her climbing the staircase. She was that bored.
You know when you take like an iPad off a child and then they lose their mind and they're like
Tantrum
running up the
on the
walls?
ground.
That was me for like a whole 5 days. But I feel really good. Like I didn't even want to listen to when Bibba was like scrolling on Instagram. And I felt so clear and had such a great week, honestly.
She did. I think the first couple of days is obviously trying to adjust because
it was hard.
Social media is such an important part. Not an important, it's
just such a habit. Like
it's such a
I'm
habit.
in bed, I'm scrolling, I'm brushing my teeth, there's something playing.
There's
at the
always
gym,
something
there's
going
something,
on.
Yeah. You know,
and especially we've got our work account, we've got our podcast account, and then we've got Heidi's shopping account.
And so many of the times, like I'm doing something for work and I get sidetracked and I'm just swiping.
Yeah.
So it was meant to be like a 3-day detox and then it ended up being 6 days. And it was
I'm
the
so
best
proud
6
of her.
days. Thank you.
High five.
Thanks.
Badass.
Yes, that was good. But anyways, back to the cyclone.
Guys, I prepped. No one done anyone's head in.
No one done my head in more than Bibba in like a very long time about this cyclone.
I know.
She's like, Heidi, the cyclone is coming. She went and parked her car in a garage. Locked up the house.
Do you think
She packed a bag and came and slept in my house.
Yeah, I haven't left, by the way. I still think
there.
I'm on cyclone warning. They said don't leave your house. On the news.
But I was low-key excited because I actually didn't mind the idea of having to like sit inside and, you know, be warm and hear the rain and like
soup for storm weather.
Bibba even made soup. Like she took this storm and ran.
Very serious.
And then it was the most.
Then it was just raining.
Underwhelming.
Do you think I slept Tuesday night? No, Monday night. No. I was waiting for the rain to start. I was sending her live updates. She's asleep. I'm in the next room. I'm like, the rain just began. The storm just started.
Yeah, it was.
Then she woke up and she was so let down. She's like, nothing's moved. Not even a leaf has gone off the trees.
Yeah. Anyways, it was just like it's been an interesting weird week. You know, I was just let down by the weather.
That's okay.
How was your week?
It was okay. It was just the same as yours, really. I've lived in Heidi. I haven't left Heidi
hip by hip.
Yeah.
For like a whole week.
Like even brushing our teeth together.
Cleansing together. She scrubbed my back in the shower
yesterday. People must think we're so fucking weird. We are actually sisters.
I can't believe people still question if we're sisters
in the clinic.
Not. Someone asked, I didn't know you guys are sisters. Are you actually?
Close friends. I couldn't hang out with someone that long.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I think like it's time I drop you off at home today.
That's what she said. She goes, I'm going to go home. You're going to come with me because I haven't driven all week either because of the storm.
Yes. Scared to drive in the storm.
I'm not. I just can't be fucked, guys. And she's like, and I'm taking you home.
Yeah.
Time for me to go home.
I think so. It's time to go your own way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, today we want to address a very important topic.
Yes, we do.
We mentioned it last week that this week we will be discussing something that really needs to be spoken of way more than it is. We need to shine more light. It is July, guys, and in July in Australia,
it is.
We are in the middle right now of Men's Mental Health Week. A month.
Month, yes.
Yes. So Men's Mental Health Month. It's an important topic,
It's very important.
and I don't think it's spoken of enough.
I don't think so. And I think
So
this
we
is
are
why
here.
we have a whole month dedicated to it and why we have like Movember and stuff. Because
Exactly.
we need to be shedding more light
Absolutely.
and speaking up more about men's mental health and how important it is.
Why are men suffering in silence still in 2025?
Yeah.
The world is that old, and men still are suffering in silence. They don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually so proud to be in a country that actually recognizes men's mental health. I feel like everything's about women and children and
Totally.
animals, which I love. But I'm so into men being in check of their own mental health because
100%. It's
it's
important.
so
And I
important.
know we like sometimes bag out men, but
do.
deep down we love you guys. And
Yeah.
we really want the best for everyone.
want
We're
you
out
to
here
be
trying to give
better.
you advice to get better. But in all seriousness,
No,
I
truly.
think when
As
I was
nurses, we just genuinely care about everyone and everything.
100%.
That is part of being a nurse
yeah.
and a good human.
I remember when I was like maybe 14 or 15,
Yeah.
I read something online that said men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And from
sad.
that day, anytime we spoke about, like I was in a conversation where like women's rights or like men came up, I would
Yeah.
always say like, I'm not a feminist because men suffer so much more than women.
That's right.
And I'm so like thankful that I've had that insight because like I speak with women now or always, and they're always like, yeah, but men are so easy. They don't have to do anything. And in the back of my head, I'm not going to argue with someone.
No, you can't.
But I'm just like, their life is not any easier than a woman.
So as Heidi,
Yeah.
what you said is actually true. 75% of men's death a year is due to suicide.
That is a really, really large number.
It is.
75%.
That's the numbers are crazy. 7 men a day commit suicide.
Oh my God.
That's in Australia, the leading cause of death in men is actual suicide due to depression, obviously. Well,
Yeah.
they're not going to be happy and kill
I
themselves.
always think like, why? Like,
Because I think society makes it very hard for a man to open up. And also, I don't just think society, I think it's also cultural.
Yeah.
So a man has to man up and be stoic and
Yeah.
and toughen
you're
up
not allowed to cry.
from
Boys,
a young age.
yeah, boys aren't allowed to talk about how they feel. They have to bottle
Yeah.
it up. It's really, really sad. And I do agree with you on like the cultural side of things. I do know like personally in like the Middle Eastern culture.
Oh, yeah.
It's a massive thing where like men aren't allowed to have emotion.
No.
And they're like, if they're stressed, like, oh, it just brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
And they're just expected to, work and have a household. And I'd say a lot of Middle Eastern women don't work and don't have
That's
careers.
true, yeah.
And the
So
men
they're
is
the
expected
sole
to provide
providers.
for them and their families
Yeah.
and provide them a great lifestyle and not complain about it.
And
not even complain, but not even like talk about it.
Exactly. And as you were saying, in terms of the Middle Eastern thing, we're a younger generation, or you're much
Yeah.
younger than my generation, and my generation's younger than the other
Yeah.
generation, where a lot of the Middle Eastern men come from
Yeah.
war-torn countries, and then their parents have the war trauma,
Yeah.
then it's passed down to them. And
It's just
as
this
men,
generational trauma
exactly.
that has just been brought down and brought down.
Absolutely. And you tell, like, imagine going to Lebanon, speaking to the boys from the army and saying, how's your mental health today? They're going to laugh at you and be like, what
Are you
fuck?
talking about? What do you
Like,
mean? Why
what-
are you
like-
asking me what are feelings?
Yeah, exactly. Or speak to someone who was in the war and because they went to war, then they came back and had to continue life as if
As
nothing.
normal.
They didn't see their friends blow up. They weren't dodging bombs and explosions.
Yeah.
And come back, find a job, pick up and provide for the family and try and be normal. And like you said, like hold in all that PTSD.
Yeah.
And then their kids have grown up seeing their parents so shut off.
Yeah.
We don't talk about emotions. And then it just trickles down into the next
It's like a
genera-
domino effect
Yeah,
of
that's in the Middle
generations.
East. But
Yeah.
then obviously as men, as a whole in society, like you said, you got to toughen up. You got to be strong. Boys don't cry.
100%. I even know like with my brothers, for
Yeah.
example, like the closest boys to me, it's always like, if I'm like, oh my God, I have anxiety, like if I'm having a panic attack or I'm really anxious about something, like anxiety doesn't exist. Anxiety isn't a real thing. It pisses me off so much because I'm like,
Their
it is
parents
a
come
real
from the
thing.
war.
But like, I'm like, they don't even recognize
No.
mental health as something that's serious. And I'm like, there are psychologists and there are psychiatrists and people who are literally there to help you with these things.
Absolutely.
But they're like, yeah, that's not a real job. And I'm like, but like, what do you mean? There's a whole industry and a whole career based on helping people with their mental health.
Yeah.
And to them, it's just like, it's not a real thing.
Well, that's a very toxic masculinity trait that men have.
It is.
Because why for them? Oh, what? No, you can't feel. We don't feel anything. We shouldn't feel anything. It's like they're numb, and then they don't realize how it affects not only their personal life, their business life, their relationships, having relationships, their family life. Everything gets affected, and they end up suffering in silence.
100%. And I do think that, especially this episode, I know that it's like based for men's mental health, but I think whether you're a man who's struggling with mental health, you have a friend that's struggling, you're a partner, a husband, a wife, I think
Sister,
this is
a brother,
anyone.
anyone.
This episode is for everyone because it just is raising mental health awareness, especially in men. And I think that's a key thing that everyone should be able to sort of detect and pick up on someone who isn't doing well mentally.
Absolutely.
To help them to avoid them going to suicide.
Absolutely.
And that's where a lot of these men end up. Like you just said, 75% of the reason why men die is due to suicide.
And that's in Australia alone. So part of the research I was doing, it was so crazy for me to find that the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare actually reported that men are more likely to die by suicide without prior even leaving any kind of notice, like no notice that it's coming. And only 15 to 40% of men that commit suicide actually leave a note explaining why, which is so sad.
That is so sad. I think that is actually super sad.
So sad.
Because I think it's sad for the man that like he has reached that point and he didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Or like even how to tell people that he's
how
that
to
depressed.
seek help.
Yeah, to leave and end his life. And then for the family as well, that would be so hard because they probably don't even know. And I just think it's so sad that men die in silence because masculinity has shown them that being emotional is vulnerability. And it's no, but it's the truth.
The truth.
Like, if you're a man, you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to have emotion, and that is so wrong. And that's what's leading these men to commit suicide, and then leaving their poor family, friends, and loved ones questioning. But he was okay.
Yeah,
he looked fine. He didn't seem like there were any problems.
That they show no signs that they're depressed, and then they end up dying with their problems, with their secrets, with their pain.
Yeah,
and this needs to become normalized.
Yeah.
Seeking help.
100%.
And that's where men are always fall short. I remember when I was studying nursing, in one of the subjects, I found it so fascinating that 80% of men will get diagnosed with end-stage cancer because they've never gone to the doctor to address their health issues, let alone mental health issues. So they'll have aches and pains and discomfort and whatever. And I'm telling you, this was a statistic from
back then.
You were like 15 when I was at university. Even. Exactly, not even. Oh, that's right. You weren't. You were 10 or something, 9. And I found it so fascinating that, oh my God, it's true. Men will. How often have
early intervention is not a thing for men because they always leave it too late.
Exactly. And how often would you hear a man saying, "Oh, I've got a doctor's appointment"? I've heard every woman say she's got an appointment to attend to. Except for a man. What would a man check more than his mental health?
His car. Men are checking their car engines more than they are checking in on their health and their mental health. And that is the first problem.
Absolutely. It needs to become normalized. I feel like because as females, men will never really feel comfortable to talk to a female about emotions. And when they do, they feel like it's either like they're breaking their manhood. Yeah. But it actually makes you such a stronger person to be able to talk about it because when you talk to someone, you can have suggestions of how to address your mental health issues.
100%. I have a male that's quite close to me.
Yes.
And he was suffering. Like, I could tell from a mile away that
Yeah.
he was suffering with like some type of anxiety.
Yeah.
And he was always in so much snow, and I'd say to him, like, you actually need to go speak to someone
Yeah.
professionally to speak about these issues, because the more you bottle it up inside, the more it's just gonna make you freak out, make you feel so shitty, and it's not a good way to feel.
Absolutely.
One day, this was like a few weeks later, he called me and he was like crying and panicking, and he's like, I don't know what's happening to me. I think I'm sick. I think I'm like, I had food poisoning. He was blaming all his symptoms on food poisoning, and I'm like, you're literally having a panic attack. Like, they don't even, like, so many men don't even understand what a panic attack is, what anxiety is, and what the feelings are, that they're associating it with like food poisoning, because they're just in denial that mental health is a serious thing.
Well,
and they're not, but like, also they've just always been told that they're not allowed to feel these things, and if they do, it's like bitchy and it's feminine.
Well, it's the social stigma.
Yeah.
And the be tough.
Yeah, big boys don't cry. That's like my biggest thing. Men don't cry.
Men are like conditioned to not express emotion. And I've been in situations where I've been with in close contact with someone. Let's just say it was getting to know them, and their depression came out pouring, but they didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it was always like, I don't want to fucking live. And I was like, what? How can you say that? Like, this is all still fresh. Like, it should be exciting. Like, talk to me, And when I saw how his depression actually affected him, even being able to be in a relationship.
100%.
And it was like, life's not worth living. And I was like, whoa, you need help. And anytime I said, you actually need help, and I wasn't being a bitch, I was genuinely being a caring person, have you considered speaking to a psych or getting a mental health check? Do you think I'm a fucking pussy?
Yeah.
In the end, yeah, you were, because you became a narcissistic dog because you don't want to deal with your emotions. And it was affecting his relationship at work, his relationships with his family, his relationships with myself. But then it turned that pain that he was feeling can turn them bitter.
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing is, men are praised when they are silent, and then punished when they speak up.
Absolutely.
And I think like sometimes they don't go to the right person, and I think because they don't even understand what is happening to them.
Absolutely.
When they're trying to explain it, they don't explain it maybe correctly.
Yeah, because like you said, I'm having food poisoning.
Yeah.
Could have literally gone to the doctor and said, I ate something and I'm sick from it.
Literally, but then imagine how then they would feel if imagine I didn't know what anxiety was, and I'm like to this person, oh, you'll be all right, whatever. And then we get off the phone, and then in his mind, he's like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with me? I'm never going to talk about my feelings again. It just suppresses those feelings even more.
Absolutely. It suppresses that ability to communicate
100%.
And express emotions. And that's like a way bigger problem when they have like poor help seeking behavior, where they shut you down. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. And I've had this conversation a lot with clients, and I'm sure you have too with your clients and friends, and they don't know what's happening, or he's changed, he's closed off, I don't know what's going on, I don't know if he's cheating on me.
Yeah.
So they're all signs, like, and it's quite interesting because what are the signs of a man suffering depression?
What are
they?
they?
There are so many, and let me break them down to you.
Tell us.
All right. So what depression can often look like in a man is quite missed sometimes, misunderstood, and quite often mislabeled. He's cheating on me because he's so stressed. He doesn't want to be around the family, doesn't want to be around the wife, the kids. They don't want to hear. He doesn't want that extra noise, the white noise that comes from being at home. I'm going to stay at work. I'm going to work more.
Wow, I've never even thought about that.
And becoming a workaholic, but not for a good purpose.
Yeah.
See, like, you and I can work 13-hour days and come do a podcast, which we're doing right now. No problem. And we've had a long week because we love what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not escaping something.
100%.
Whereas men, that's
their escape.
That's one of their escapes.
Oh my Lord, I haven't ever thought about something like that.
So where they stay at work extra long hours, come home when everyone's asleep, go to bed. Things like they withdraw and isolate. They're no longer joining the group hangouts. They're not responding in group chats. They're getting a lot more quiet. They're not available to hang out. They're not even in a social setting with a family, with a partner, locked off. They're logged off and they're somewhere else. When you talk to them, they're there but not, lights are on but no one's home. Do you get me? So they isolate and then you stop seeing them. We've all been in situations where we've had someone go through that and we're like, oh, doesn't want to hang out, doesn't want to be around.
Yeah.
And it's the last thing. It's always the last thing for us to think about that a man is depressed.
Yeah.
Because it's
so
almost
uncommon.
It's so uncommon for a man to tell you I'm depressed.
Yeah.
Or can you excuse my behavior because I'm depressed?
I have anxiety. I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird because on the rare occasion when a man does say those things, it's really, really not awkward, but it's almost like, okay, well,
what do you say?
Well, because they never talk about it. And on the rare occasion it happens, you don't know. It's a bit hard to navigate.
Yeah.
Because you've got to also be quite alert and pick up on those signs. Are they working too much? Are they isolating? Are they sitting with you, but you know they're with you physically, but
their mind is somewhere else.
Is drifting somewhere else. Another way of pointing out if a man is in depression, men, we all know someone in our lives that abuses substance abuse, like over abuses drugs, starts drinking a lot more, you know, and
overeating is also
over drinking and using too much drugs. You know, it starts off, oh, I'm going to party this weekend.
You know, let loose
becomes
after
on
a
Saturday,
big week.
then becomes Friday and Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to
drags
start on
Thursday,
to
Monday,
and then it becomes, you know. And how often do we hear people say, "We just broke up, got on drugs, won't talk about what he like, why,
what's happening,
just let me go." And I don't understand. Just 2 days ago, I had a client, beautiful girl, my age, 2 kids. She's like, she goes to me, he brought the ute home and he said, pack the stuff and leave. She said, I don't actually know what's wrong. He's never home. He's never home. And when he is home, he won't talk. Wow. And then when we do talk, it turns into a fight. Then he leaves. And he's hanging out with his cousin a lot. And I think they're partying. They're getting on drugs. They're doing all. And I said to her, have you actually asked if he's happy? Not that it doesn't mean you,
but in general, in life.
Because you can still love someone and lose happiness, lose that spark. And that's the thing that men, they get married, for example, get in a relationship, get married, and they're like, whoa, it's a big change. Then they bring children into the world. Yeah. And the relationship that they had with their partner once upon a time
changes.
Is now where we're not important anymore. These kids are important. So where are we? And that loss brings a lot of actual depression to men. And so it becomes crazy. And even things like men that when they get angry start driving fast. Really fast. And
I know a man.
We all know a man that's done that. And let me tell you, I don't like that behavior. That really pisses me off. I understand you're depressed, but don't put me
at risk.
My life at risk because you don't want to attend to your own mental health issues. And I've been around that. I've heard men say, I'm going to run myself into a fucking pole. Yeah. I'm going to run myself over the bridge. Bro, just run yourself to the fucking mental health clinic.
You'll get further.
We'll get further than we're getting over a bridge. So these are signs for those that don't know what to look for. We'll go over them again. Isolating, being there but not there. When you're talking to them, their mind's drifting. When your partners start overworking, staying at work too late, don't want to come home, don't want to talk, drinking too much, doing reckless, dangerous behavior, pick up on those things.
Yes.
And I think it's important that we find a way to talk about it.
Yes, I think that is super important as well.
I agree.
I think in any relationship,
sleeplessness. If they have their sleeping bad, or they're complaining too much about pain or lack of sleep, all of those.
We got to keep an eye out. I do think in relationships, like if it's so important in a relationship that you guys actually talk about your feelings, because I think being in a relationship for a man especially can sometimes be vulnerable, but you need to make your relationship a safe space for that.
Yeah.
Obviously I've been with my boyfriend for a long time, and over the years, like I've obviously developed so much more, like I've grown.
Yeah. So she was trying to say, you guys.
No, but like over the years,
Absolutely.
like
you guys have grown together.
but also like my emotional intelligence as well has increased a lot.
And that came from hard work. You worked so hard on that.
I work really hard, and I'm someone who's very into like self-help books. I'm always trying to feel my best and like whatnot. I do suffer with a little bit of anxiety.
We all do.
We're always trying to manage it in a healthy way.
Absolutely.
And the more research I did, I was just like sharing that with my boyfriend, and I just realized like not that I never asked, but like maybe I did ever asked in like a more serious way. Like, how are you?
That's
like, how are you going? Like, and I always say like he works so many hours, like he's trying to make the best life for himself and for us in the future. And he has so much on his plate and never complains.
He does work a
and
lot.
And even like he'll work from like 5 a.m., come home at like 10 p.m. I'm not even exaggerating.
It's true, guys.
And then go to the gym, journal, do this, do that, like do so much. And I'm just like, aren't you tired?
Yes.
Like I'm exhausted for you.
Exactly.
And I always think like in a relationship, like you need someone, at least one person needs to be emotionally and mentally aware.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just like a recipe for disaster, because there needs to be that openness and that understanding about mental health.
Of course.
Otherwise, when you do come to a vulnerable point in your life, you're not going to feel comfortable going to that person.
Absolutely. And I just want to go back to something I think was quite important you said, where you don't actually check, like, mind you guys, her and her boyfriend talk all day, every day. They even talk about how they weigh their food before and after cooking it. Down to, there's nothing. They'll talk about cotton threads if they have to.
We talk a
God
lot
bless them,
about
which is amazing. But how many people do you think, like, your man works a lot? Most men do.
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation with Heidi the other day saying her generation is now coming up, and it's now whoever's dating is now getting married, starting their life with their partner. And with social media and what everyone's posting, there's a lot of people that are overly privileged.
100%.
Do you get me? Get a lot more help from their parents.
Yeah.
Life is a little less stressful.
Yes.
And then we've got the people that aren't handed everything on a silver platter, where they have to work from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. to work towards the future they want.
100%.
And it's hard work, it's drive, it's exhausting, it's draining. And like you said, we hardly ever just say, can we talk about how you feel? How you feel. Look, Heidi's getting sad.
I'm not.
Her eyes are tearing up because she knows how hard a man works.
No, but it's just like, what you said is like so true. I feel like people, especially social media, like I know my boyfriend and I've had this conversation so many times, like we're not like, we're both on the same page about it, but like we look at like, obviously social media highlights the highlights of people's lives.
That's exactly right.
But like you see people like newly married and have had a massive wedding and move into like a big beautiful house, go on this massive honeymoon, drive like the latest cars, and
big diamonds.
As a man, like that puts so much pressure.
Absolutely.
And when the first time we had like a conversation about this, like we were talking about like where we would live when we get married, and we was like whatever, we were having that conversation, and then we were just talking about how like the social media puts so much pressure on a man. Yes. He's expected to buy this big, beautiful diamond ring. And then like he was saying like the conversations that like him and his friends have, like, is it lab? Is it diamond? How many carats? How much did you spend?
It's invasive questions.
But like, it's but that's what men are talking about. So then there's like this pressure, like I need to get her the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
And then like the wedding, like who got this entertainment and who got this dress and who did the cars and the wedding. And then you have, where are you going to live? Oh, you're living with your parents, or you're living in an apartment, or you haven't bought a house yet.
Yes.
And then there's so much. And then we always have to bring ourselves back and realize, okay, but we're in a completely different situation.
Of course.
We both didn't have anything handed to us.
Absolutely.
So we're both working hard. So in due time, we just have to have that faith that you will get there.
You will.
And I think, but someone who isn't like emotionally mentally strong is gonna fall, and I've fallen for it so many times.
100%.
So I'm like, oh my god, this person, like why can't I have that? And then you make yourself feel shitty over something that isn't even real.
Exactly.
Or it's just like an eighth of the truth.
Absolutely. And that's where men, I feel like, see a lot, and like they suffer in silence. They're
do.
watching, let's just say, their best friends get married and come from a loaded family, get everything handed to them. Meanwhile, they're breaking their back, doing 18-hour days, and nothing is ever being handed.
No
so
way.
That's going to bring some depression, but you will get there. And guess what? Those people that have everything handed to them, they're not guaranteed happiness or genuine love and peace.
Yes.
As
Amen.
long as you have that within each other, that is what matters. And that's where society is driving ideas and ideologies of what is real and what actually matters way out of proportion. Because who's going to have the biggest wedding? Yeah. Who's going to have the more cars? Who's going to have the bigger zaffe? Who's going to have Hamza? Who's going to have which Lebanese artists come to their wedding and sing? So it's all, and that's, I feel sorry for her generation.
Like everything is just, it's so, I feel like, I don't know if it's competitive
or,
but it's like, like
keeping up with the Jones.
Literally. Like the other day I had a client, and we'll talk, like she's 2 years older than me. And she's like to me, she's like, how long have you been with your boyfriend? And I was like, nearly 7 years. And then she's like, and you guys aren't married? I said, I'm still young. I'm 24. She's like, yeah, I was 24 when I got married and we had a wedding and we had 500 people and we bought a house and we did this and we do that. You can do it too. There's no excuse. And I'm like, no one said I can't do it.
That's correct.
But like all good things take time, guys.
Well, this is... the person you spoke to is one of the people that fell in the social media trap of, I need to do it. How many people do we know got engaged because everyone was getting engaged?
So many
and then
people.
And broke up. Yeah. How many people got married and got divorced?
And because, so many. And I always say this. In such a
fast time, but it had to be posted, because if they didn't post it, apparently it didn't happen. But
I always say this, like, I've never wanted, and yes, we've been together for a long time, my boyfriend and I, but I've never wanted to put that pressure on him that like, I want to be engaged by this time.
No, you haven't.
And like, because I hear and see our friends and our people we know who have, and I'm just like, I see how much stressful it is on the man. And I'm like, I would never ever, like, I love this man so much that I'd never want him to be so stressed, and like, he already has so much on his plate. Exactly. Why would I pressure him to do something that he's not ready to do?
And you guys know you guys are going to be together forever.
We know we're going to be together. We have the conversations. We're on the same page.
We've already chose the kids' names, guys.
The kids' names. Like,
we've got our OBGYN already booked.
We do things a little backwards, but it gets done.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so wrong to put pressure on a man.
Absolutely.
Because then they just fall in this big trap and it just doesn't get any better for anyone.
So let's talk about things we can do to help men feel a lot more comfortable and open to expressing their emotions and talking about their mental health and not suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Because we need less men to die.
We need men to be more vulnerable. And knowing that vulnerability doesn't mean you're weak.
Of course.
Because you're just human.
Yes.
You're really not like Batman.
Yeah. Speaking of it, I've got the Joker and Batman socks on today.
I love that. Very relevant.
Yeah. Look, things, you know how we say it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think it needs to go a little deeper when we talk to men. Because obviously we know
everything is going to be okay.
And this is scientifically proven that females are a lot mentally mature than men. We're speaking age groups. But I think opening up the conversation to a man, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
How did this make you feel? How did this event that you've just gone through in your life make you feel? How are you feeling? Like, I can guarantee you right now, if we pick up our phone and call, let's just say, one of our brothers and say, hey, are you okay? He's going to wig the fuck out.
Yeah, he's going to be like, what do you mean?
I would love to do it. We should do it.
I'm calling Bax. I'm going to call my little brother.
Because Bax always pulls through.
Let's see if he answers.
What's the time in Dubai?
Wait, what am I? Hey, beautiful.
What's going on?
Not much, just at work. What are you doing?
Well, nothing. I just woke up not long ago. Just
good morning. I just wanted to see if you're okay. Like, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm good. Very good. Thank you. How are you?
No, I'm good, but I just want to make sure that you are okay. Like, are you happy? Is there anything you want to talk about?
Where's your face?
Oh, you want to see my face?
Now he's gonna know.
On pods.
Yes.
No.
We were just talking about men's mental health and how
Are we live?
we're
We are
live.
live.
We're live. So everything you're saying is on record. But yeah, I just wanted to see how you are and see how you respond to being asked
I'm
if
that
you're
good.
okay.
I'm that good that I just had my coffee while I'm laying down in bed.
Wow. I'm very jealous.
He's too.
You're
he's too
too
happy.
good.
He's too happy.
And I got the Dubai views right in front of me.
Oh, your
Yeah,
life
you know
is
what?
good.
I'm hanging up.
Not much to complain about other than the weather, though. Thank you for the call. Are you
No, but deep down, are you okay?
Without yous, my sister's next to me. Not really, but
My baby.
I'm gonna cry.
We'll be right. We'll be right.
I'll see you in Lebanon.
I'll see you.
Love you. Bye.
Oh, Angel.
He's so cute.
All right, so calling our brother. This one's my brother directly younger than me because there's about 12 of us.
Hello.
Hi, my boy.
Hey, Albie, how are you, sis?
Good, Elbe. How are you?
Not too bad. What are you doing?
I'm just at work, but I just wanted to call and see if you're okay.
Yeah, I'm good wife.
I just want you to know I love you.
I love you, Dean. I love you more than life.
Oh, baby, but are you all good?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Is life treating you well?
Yeah, I
But-
like to think so.
But inside you're happy and you're okay?
I'm okay, babe.
You promise you'll talk to me if you ever need to talk to someone?
Believe me, you're the first person I'd talk to.
Say that again.
You're the first person I would talk to. Believe me.
Good, baby. I love you so much.
I love you, Steve. You all right? You all good? How's your day?
Yeah, good. I'm just podcasting and we're talking about men's mental health. And I wanted to say this is how you should be calling and checking in on your peeps.
No, most definitely, babe.
All right. Well, I love you, darling.
Are you okay?
Well, you got to go further than are you okay? You got to ask twice.
100%. I'm with you, sis.
Yeah, and depression doesn't mean you're weak or broken.
No, not at all.
You can't
You're the
laugh.
best.
Because real men cry, babe. Real men cry.
That's it, baby. Coming from the man himself.
Real men
Real
cry.
men cry. All right. Well, I love you. Have a great weekend. Call me if you need
You
me.
too, babe.
Bye, baby.
See you later. Bye.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That was good.
So I'm glad to know at least 2 of our brothers are not in.
I think, but can I
okay.
just say something?
Yes.
I think our brothers are probably not the greatest example.
Because we are actually in their face and we
all the
ask-
time, and because Bibra and I are very like mentally stimulated
Yes.
all the time, we've made them feel very welcome, and they
Yes.
just know to come to us.
That is true. That is
But-
true.
Yeah, but that was good. Great examples.
I think
guys.
so.
I think it's so important that when you are going to ask a man if they're okay, it's so
Yes.
important that you say to them, I am here for you and I am not going to judge you.
Big,
because I feel
big
like there is
important
a
factor.
massive fear for men that they're going to be judged and like belittled and seen as weak
Or less of a man.
or less of a man if they share their vulnerability.
I
so
agree.
make sure you're very reassuring if you are going to speak to someone who you're concerned about.
That's so true.
Now, on the topic of speaking to people that you're concerned about, these are some tips that you can give to that person and to know for yourself to help you if you are struggling or you know someone that is struggling. So the first thing to do, I would say, is to seek professional help.
Absolutely.
I think that we to maybe take our psychologists and GPs and doctors and
Mental health
plans a bit like
lightly.
lightly, not too serious. And they're really helpful and really amazing.
I
So
agree.
I think making an appointment for someone, going with them to the appointment as well so they feel really
Very-
safe
And supported.
and supported is super important
Even booking the appointment
for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is so true because, like you mentioned in the start, men will not attend a medical appointment, let alone book an appointment. So it's like you're steering the ship.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
right.
Yeah. I think it's also, there are a lot of helplines for men.
Yes.
You know, and I don't think, I should have done the statistics study on it.
Yeah.
Of how often men call these helplines. You know,
Yeah.
there's Men's Line Australia, Beyond Blue, there's the Resilience Project. There are so many non-profit organizations and helplines, and there's so much support for men
Yeah.
out there. It's just time for men to
To
get
take
up and
action.
take action. There's help, and you know, another good organization is Gotcha for Life.
Yes.
with number 4, Gotcha for Life. We will link them all in our
Yes.
YouTube bio. All the organizations we think are remarkable and they're all doing amazing things. But for someone, if anyone ever needs, we've got links, and I hope this has been able to be helpful.
Totally. I hope that someone has learned 1 or 2 things and can maybe learn something and then share it with others so they are also, aware, and we just spread the cycle and change that stigma about men
the social
being weak
stigma.
if they're vulnerable.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of cute.
I love men that talk about their feelings and who are emotional.
Because
they're
they
so much
want
easier
a
to
better
love.
life. They want to feel better and see every day and the colors of outside, not wake up and see grey.
Just got to wake up and smell the roses.
Absolutely. And stop checking your car. Oh, let's check the mental health, boys.
That's it.
We love you all.
Thank you so much for tuning in on another episode. And remember, wherever you're listening or watching, make sure you're following and subscribe so we can bring you new episodes every week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Mwah.